Hereford and Worcester.
Thanks for waking up with Howard and Tony at breakfast on BBC Hereford and Worcester. It's 6 minutes after 8. Great to have your company. The Labour Party is warning that new powers to allow ministers to intervene in some NHS authorities could lead to services being closed in Worcestershire and in Herefordshire. The legislation allows government-appointed administrators to shut down hospitals and services in areas where the local NHS authority is unable to balance the books. Worcestershire Acute Hospitals NHS Trust and the Wye Valley NHS Trust in Herefordshire are both running budget deficits at the moment. Matthew Bone is our political reporter. Worth just explaining what all this means to everybody listening. I mean, why has the government brought this new law in, Matt?
Well, ministers said that in the past it's taken too long to sort out failing hospitals. They said the new powers are needed to quickly and decisively fix NHS trusts that aren't working properly. The controversy centres around the extent of those powers. This goes back to a big court case last year. A hospital in Woolwich was massively in the red, and the government wanted to downgrade maternity and A&E services in neighbouring Lewisham to help balance the books. The court said that was illegal and Lewisham kept its services, and these changes to the law will stop that kind of court case happening in the future.
So how does this affect us?
Well, Labour have warned that this opens the door for ministers to force hospitals to lose services or close altogether to help out their neighbours. The NHS trusts in Worcestershire and Herefordshire are both currently running deficits, which Labour say make them particularly vulnerable. But ministers say they'll only step in extreme circumstances, and that in the vast majority of cases, local authorities will still control which services are delivered.
Our political reporter Matthew Bone. The Redditch MP Karen Lumley was at the debate about the new power. She asked for assurances about how the Alex in Redditch would be affected. This is what the Health Minister Daniel Poulter had to say.
There are absolutely, just to reassure her, no plans for the TSA to have any involvement in the issues that she's discussed locally, and I hope that's some reassurance. And it would be absolutely wrong and irresponsible of people to put those issues together and to conflate them. There are local processes in place, and those local processes will continue.
Well, we'll talk to Karen Lumley in just a second, the MP for Redditch, on why she voted with the government on this. Let's get Neil Stote's views from Save the Alex. Neil, you just heard from the Health Minister there saying, look, there's absolutely no worries about what's going to happen at the Alex in Redditch. Why worry?
Well, no, we've met with Minister Dr. Dan several times, and he's always said this should be a local decision. These powers do put that at risk because our hospital trust has got a £12 million deficit with no clear sign of how that's going to be resolved. And it's also clear from to implement the recommendations that we heard last month that substantial funding is needed, millions of pounds to actually put that in place. I just wonder at what point do they get involved? Is it after a trust has failed, or is it trying to make a trust successful? And also to say they're not getting involved, well, you have to question, why are we meeting with this person if he can't, if about maternity service, if he's not going to get involved? Which way is it? A lot of confusion around this.
What do you make of the way Karen Lumley voted?
Obviously very disappointed. We spearheaded the campaign to vote no against it. I think there were some concessions. We're obviously disappointed that the cross-party amendment, N16, was dropped at the last minute. And also very concerned that what they're saying is that if the laws need to be changed, there'll be guidance issued. Well, that's very hazy, and it's very difficult to work out what the amendments mean at the moment.
Neil, thank you. Neil Stote from the Save the Alex campaign. Let's talk to Karen Lumley, the MP for Redditch, right now. Thanks for coming on this morning to talk to us, Karen. Why did you vote with the government? What was your logic behind this? Because it seems that you're selling out your constituents here.
Well, I think there's two separate issues. One, I would have voted for the amendments, Paul Burstow's amendments. I made that very clear when I met the Minister. But unfortunately, as Neil's just explained, it was withdrawn at 10 to 6, 10 minutes before the vote. But actually, Howard, I think there is some confusion here. Under the Mental Health Act in 2009, which my predecessor Jackie Smith would have voted for, there are already powers to close a hospital should it go into have financial failure. So that's nothing new. That's nothing new that happened yesterday. What happened yesterday was another clause was put in that actually if a hospital has got care issues as well, then that can be closed. And I want the best NHS I can for the people of Redditch. This isn't about the Alexandra Hospital. This is about hospitals who get into severe difficulties, such as South London for financial issues, and Mid-Staffs, as we all know, for care issues. And, I think that's right for the peace of our country. We all want the best NHS.
You've got to save the Alex campaign that you've been talking to, and you broadly support it. You said before.
No, I fully support.
Well, you support then on this programme, and you just said it again. And yet, when you get to the lobby, you actually vote with the government, and if you like, put this back in the hands of the health minister as opposed to local control, which that doesn't look logical. Just picking up on one tweet that somebody made about you here, Karen, funnily enough, she put her career before her constituents. Square that one.
I've just explained to you that I would have voted for the amendment.
Yeah, but there was no amendment. That was taken off the table. Karen,
hang on, let's be clear.
It is clear it was taken off the table.
I didn't take it off the table. It wasn't taken off the table by the person that amended it. But I made it very clear to the minister on Monday morning that I would be voting for that amendment, and because I didn't think that actually that there was enough time, which is something I talked to the Alex people about last week, and I listened to them and I took on board what they had to say. I think 40 days is a very short amount of time to look at it, and I thought that the commissioners should have more say, which if anybody looks at my speech yesterday, I made that very clear to the minister too yesterday.
Okay, Andy Burnham, the Labour Shadow Health Secretary, said this is exactly what the Conservatives were not voted in for. This is now top-down, finance-led, and it's now putting the health service in the hands of management consultants, not medical consultants. And you've backed that.
Let's be clear. Mental Health Act 2009, Andy Burnham did that himself. I didn't do that. That's already in place.
But ultimately, you had the chance to support your constituents here, and you didn't.
I had the chance to make sure that our NHS is safe in the people's hands. That's what I did yesterday.
So it's safe in the health minister's hands, not the local people's hands?
No, it's in our hands. As you played that clip yesterday, Dan Paul made it very clear that there are local processes that are going in place in Worcestershire and in Herefordshire, and that will carry on happening. This is extreme cases, and I want to make sure that the NHS is safe and is able to be delivered to the people of Redditch and Hereford and Worcestershire.
Let me just play you what Rebecca Blake, your opposite number if you like, for Labour, had to say earlier on this programme.
I'm very disappointed that yesterday when Mrs Lumley voted to give the Secretary of State powers to close hospitals within just 40 days, I believe she put her party before the needs of Redditch people. Quite frankly, the role of the Redditch MP should be to support the Alex Hospital at every turn.
So what would you say in response to that?
Rebecca Blake, then actually, when she worked as a secretary for Jackie Smith, did she question Jackie Smith, who voted for the Health Act of 2009, which actually allowed administrators to close hospitals for financial failure?
Well, we'll let people decide that. Karen, thank you for coming on this morning to talk to us. Karen Lumley, who's the MP for Redditch. You heard from Neil Stote as well from the Save the Alex campaign. Feel free to chuck in this morning, won't you? Your text 81333H.